Okay, if I was a leader of a country, what would be my main priorities? Before I spend the country's money on anything else, I'd always make sure it's this. And if people will ask me to spend money on other countries and stuff like that, I would want to make sure this part is right, or guarantee that that will be, before I go spend more. Otherwise, it's stupid, isn't it? If your household's not running right and your kids and all that, why would you go help other people? People do, right? My kid needs education, but I'll be a teacher, right? And I'll be so much of a teacher that I can't educate my own kids. I'll get someone else to teach them, right? That doesn't sound right. Things aren't quite right, right? You do that if it works out, right? Because you make more money and then you can get someone else to educate your kid just as good as you, apparently, with less money. That's how that works out. Otherwise, if they're getting the same money as you're getting, you might as well just teach your own kid, you see? Because you're out teaching others and your kid's getting taught and they're teaching others at the same time. Right? You might as well have your kid in your classroom if you're a teacher, wouldn't you? Just a little example, right, of what would be your priorities when it comes to education. You would want to make sure your kids are educated. So usually they'd go to school. So if you're a teacher, they'd go to school, they'd get taught. And then when they come home, you make sure that they're learning right. And if they're not, you add the extra. Right? That'll be a proper teacher, would show for them what they are and what they do at home. They show that they can do it at home. But you see some teachers going out showing others that they can teach and look after, but can't even look after at home. I know that when it comes to babysitting. People rather go babysit others and make money and have their own kids look after each other, or someone else look after their kid for free while they go babysit someone else's because of money. Pretty terrible. It's not really main priorities, but if they need the money to look after their kid, I get it, right? But wouldn't it be good if your kid could come with you, and other ways of thinking? Anyway, I'm going to leave that little blab out of it and get back into priorities. Because sometimes when you have little blabs, people can see it in certain ways. If it means nothing to you, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Maybe it means something to you later. You could call it just a blab. Oh, what was that? Huh? Just like kids, when kids hear things and they go, "What's your parents talking about?" I don't know. They're talking about something. They don't get it. They don't know. They're not in that era yet. Right? But if you do, it helps you. If you don't, you skip it and ignore it. Right? You're best to leave things. If you've got nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all. Is one of the rules that you want your collective to have as well, unless it's important to do it. Right? Then you say something. But if it's not, and it's just rubbish, or you're coming up with bullshit, it's a theory of yours, but it might hurt someone, right? It's just something you think, then you shouldn't do it. Right? Otherwise, you're going to hurt someone, you're going to get in trouble, or you're not, and you're going to hurt others, and that's not a well to be. Right? So when it comes to priorities in a country, you want to make sure that your people can always function in things that they need to do. So your main priorities is that in our country as well, with technology, you would need water, land, shelter, food, and electricity, and then medication, right? To keep your game, your people, if you want to call it, standard and healthy. It's what you do in a game. The better you do that, the better it functions. When you don't do that, your people are dying, you get less people, you get backwards. What life is out there. And so the main priority is that. You can get other countries to make your medication is just as much, right? Or it's not that much extra and you're busy on something else. You can do trades like that. But if the thing is going out of control where they're making things and then just putting on ridiculous prices because they can, well, that's when you want to stop things, right? And make sure that in the priority areas, and make sure that you've got the main power, and then it stays to the balance of the fairness and rights for your people, just like you would do. So you can hand out power, but you've got to make sure that they don't abuse the power that you've handed out. And that's what the government does. It hands out to electricity, private companies for electricity, for water, and then they're allowed to do certain things. And then if the country comes in to take over, they get upset because they go, well, you said this and this and that. And it causes problems when it should have been just them. Right, you're getting problems in those areas, you're better off taking it over like the government. Why do the governments build roads? Why don't we have more private of that? And when we have private of that, what happens? People are paying money. It's not a good thing. It doesn't fit in well. Right? And then later on, we've got to maintain it. And in the end, they did it to make a big profit. Now, we don't mind people making a little bit of profit, but it's all a ridiculous profits. right, when it comes to certain things. And so certain main areas need to be government controlled if it's going out of control or it's got a history of about to go into it or already have. It should have already, you got to take it over, right? It's my common sense, fix problems to do this. And later on, if you want to get less work, less problems with government, because government can only do so much, right? I do get that. Is that we hand it back over and we can talk about how we want it redone again, right? And then you make it happen that way, right? But always at the start, it's going to be hard. And so it's the best way is to try to be fair, which is go to companies and go, look, we know we can do this, we're doing this, we can even take over half of them, show you how it's done. If you don't, we're going to take over the other half, or we'll take over a quarter, right? We show you how to do it right. We know about profits, but how much profits do you have, right? And when things go up and down in the market, things need to change all the time. All the time when things change, certain rules need to change, right? When it comes to companies and how much you can take and do at certain times. They need to change all the time, because if you don't and leave things, they can get way out of hand, overfished, overdug up, overcharged. Right? And so best for the government to take over all that, be less worrying about it. You got that problem all the time, you just take it over and you make the profits yourself, and you can't give out what doesn't make. And if it doesn't make profits, well, it needs to be a government paid thing. The people need to pay for it because it's for the people. Right? Simple as that. And then you do the same thing with main medications. Right? Little medications that not many of people have. You can do government rebates on certain new medications for cancers and stuff like that. But when it comes to basic medication, like UV lines and put out people and all that kind of stuff, and materials and medication and equipment, you need to make sure you can make it yourself, because when things go wrong or a country goes wrong over there and they supply the material, what are you going to do? You got the capability of making it, you got to at least have that, a capability of converting buildings to make certain things, like car companies convert to make tanks, you see, and you can do that with medical sectors. So you don't always have to have the ability to make it, you just got to have the ability to make it. I nearly got that backwards for a second. Right? And you'll be right in that area, not have to panic. Makes you people feel safe. Makes you able to control if someone tries to dominate, because when the domination comes, they go, well, it's going to take you this much time, like I was talking about with that bargain deal thing. So I'm going to charge this because I know I can, and I'm going to go up a little bit more if I know you're about to change. They can do this for greed and just being an arsehole. Most people want to do it, right? And charge you even more just before you take your time to build. But if you can build and change things within weeks, they won't have to do these things and trick so much, and they won't even want to think about it, right? Maybe they won't want to just do the right thing in the first place, right? But anyway, I'll leave it there. You let me know in comments what you think in at least top 10, say top 10 main priorities. Like when it comes to education, you should always make sure there's a good minimal education when it comes to the public sector of schooling. Right? There's always going to be a private in a different way and a better way. They're willing to do more in private sections, but the public always has to be at the minimum where you don't see kids failing going out into life. They know what they need to know, right? In the right ways. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. You let me know in comments what you think should be on the top 10 priority law list of what the government should make sure that is running right, and if it's not, it takes over to make sure, because it gets all the responsibilities. So these sectors that fail, the government get a ripping, don't they? Because it's meant to be their responsibility. And if they've handed over or not, they're failing that responsibility. And have a good one.